There's a quiet truth in personal finance that almost nobody wants to admit. Most people don't lose wealth because of one big mistake. They lose it through dozens of tiny leaks that never feel important enough to fix. And in 2026, those leaks are getting harder to spot. Why bring this up now? Because we're living through a strange moment. Incomes look higher on paper, but purchasing power hasn't kept pace. Markets look healthy, yet the average investor feels behind. And the cost of simply existing has taken on a shape that doesn't show up in the headlines. It's not a crisis, it's erosion. And erosion is dangerous because you don't feel it happening. Let's go through the 7 things quietly taxing your net worth this year. Not the obvious ones, the subtle ones, the ones that don't ring alarm bells, but absolutely change the math of your future. First, lifestyle drift. Not the luxury version. Nobody is suddenly buying yachts. This is the sneaky drift. The upgraded phone plan because it's only $10 more. The streaming bundle that used to cost $12 and now costs $28, and you don't quite remember how that happened. The grocery bill that rises $5 or $6 at a time until suddenly a normal week costs 40% more than last year. It's never dramatic. That's why it works. The drift isn't about spending more. It's about spending thoughtlessly. Because when something doesn't hurt, you don't question it. But the math tells a different story. An extra $200 a month feels harmless. Over 10 years, that's $24,000 spent, or $38,000 not invested at a modest return. The difference between harmless and harmful is just the compounding you didn't get. Second, the new shape of inflation. We're used to the headline number, 3%, 4%, something digestible. But inflation in 2026 isn't uniform. It's asymmetric. Some categories inflate faster than others, and those categories tend to be unavoidable parts of adult life. Insurance premiums up as much as 15% in certain states. Property taxes rising because local governments reassessed homes at last year's inflated prices. Services, plumbing, childcare, auto repair, all rising because labor availability is tight. Even modest wage increases ripple outward. The uncomfortable part? You don't get the national average. You get the inflation rate of your zip code and your lifestyle. If the official number is 4%, but your personal basket is closer to 9%, that gap comes directly out of your net worth, quietly, predictably, relentlessly. Third, friction in investing. We were sold a clean story. 0 commissions, democratized access, your money working for you. But the real system still has frictions. Spread costs, payment for order flow, behavioral nudges disguised as notifications, the subtle push to trade more, react more, chase more. The largest cost isn't the explicit fee, it's the quiet drag, buying a little late, selling a little early, sitting in cash a few days too long because the market feels weird. 1% here, 0.5% there. Small, but not small when multiplied by years. The hidden mechanism? A 1% performance drag over decades cuts your ending net worth by roughly a third. Not dramatically, just mathematically. Fourth, debt normalization. Debt used to carry stigma, now it carries convenience, and convenience is expensive. Credit limits are higher, buy now, pay later options are everywhere. The monthly payment is the product. The danger isn't the interest rate, it's the illusion that the number is manageable. A 0% BNPL offer still delays your ability to invest. Minimum payments create the illusion of affordability, and once money leaves the compounding timeline, it doesn't come back. Most people underestimate timing far more than they underestimate interest. The fifth drain is tax drag, not in a scandalous way, just an inefficient way. Short-term gains taxed at ordinary income, dividends landing in taxable accounts instead of protected ones, selling at the wrong time because you felt nervous. It's not the tax bill that hurts, it's the structure. 2 investors with identical portfolios can end a decade thousands apart simply because one paid taxes every year while the other deferred them. That gap widens over time, quiet leverage working against you instead of for you. Sixth, decision fatigue. The modern financial world is loud. 12 different investing philosophies, 20 experts telling you what to do, apps buzzing with updates, news cycles spinning faster than you can follow. The human brain wasn't designed for this volume of decisions. When you're overwhelmed, you default to inaction or impulsive action. Neither is free. Not rebalancing your portfolio for 5 years has a cost. Jumping into a trend trade because everyone else is doing it has a cost. Neglect is expensive. Reaction is expensive. Clarity, not intelligence, is what protects wealth. And seventh, comparison. Maybe the most expensive behavior of all, because comparison doesn't feel like spending, but it absolutely drives spending. Someone buying a newer car pushes you towards one. Someone making faster gains pushes you into risk you're not ready for. Someone hitting financial milestones earlier creates pressure to catch up. Comparison taxes your net worth in 2 ways. It nudges you away from your own plan and into someone else's timeline. The reason these 7 drains are so effective is because none of them announce themselves. Not one feels like a crisis. Not one triggers a moment where you say, "This is costing me a fortune." They operate below the emotional threshold, below the level of discomfort, and that's exactly where most long-term damage happens. This is where hype meets reality. The internet loves dramatic financial moves, the perfect asset allocation, the perfect strategy, the perfect stock pick. But in real life, wealth grows or shrinks in the margins, in the 3% decisions, in the everyday habits that either protect your compounding or erode it grain by grain. Zoom out and the real stakes appear, because if these small forces keep pulling at your net worth for the next 10 years, the difference isn't symbolic. It's the difference between hitting your financial goals and drifting 20% off course without realizing why. It's the difference between freedom and almost, between optionality and obligation. Which leaves one unresolved question as we look ahead. If these 7 silent forces continue shaping your financial life, how much of your future are you losing without ever feeling the loss? If this helped you rethink the journey to $1 million, consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. It supports the channel and helps these ideas reach more people.